I don't understand, especially when I look at Nigeria. Yes, in the films, the portrayal can somewhat be negative, but I feel like in real life, Nigerian women lead in lots of different ways. Why are those not the role models for young girls?
There's this thing I saw in a show where it was a father telling his daughter that he sent her to school to get an MRS. And I thought that was a degree, but I looked it up. The MRS is Mrs. I sent you to school to become a Mrs. And you came back with a degree. That's what the guy was complaining about. I sent you there to get an MRS and you came back with a BSc.
Honestly, like
Wow.
seriously,
You spent that money to send somebody to your university
to get like.
just to go and get married.
So when they're pitching the lady to the man, it's like, oh, she's a
got a
lawyer,
degree.
she's got a degree,
the
she
lola will
even,
be higher.
you know, and the bride price will be higher. That's so dumb. Honestly, that's so dumb. But people actually do these things.
That's what she said.
Welcome to another episode of That's What She Said. My name is Mudzithe Phiri and I'll be your host today. We're having a very exciting conversation today about creative leadership. How does leadership in the creative sector reshape the narrative of women's leadership in general? And I'm joined by two very powerful creatives in their own making, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Veronica Uchenna Anubi. I'm a singer, songwriter known as Tiny Braz, and a music producer and DJ known as Purple Halo.
Hi, I'm CJ. It's short for Chinechetam Jacinta, or you can call me Queenimation. That is my artist persona. I'm a digital artist and I'm also an aspiring product designer.
Wonderful. You guys, I'm sure, have a lot to share. I'm sure you haven't been in the business for long, but I would love to hear what your experiences have been so far. But for me personally, I've been a creative entrepreneur for, I think, 15 years now. I always tell people that um, I've done pretty much everything in the entertainment business. I've had a TV show. I had a TV show once called The Gurrls on DSTV. I was once Pato Ranking's manager when he was just starting out in his career. I was part of his management team. What else have I done? I've managed quite a few artists actually. I've managed 10 Diamond in Zimbabwe, and I just made my first set of short films earlier on in the year, which will be coming out sometime soon. Very excited to release them into the world. So I have been in the creative sector for a very long time. And the reason I'm even in the creative sector is because of how powerful storytelling is. I really think we underestimate just how powerful creativity is, especially when you think about the fact that the way women are perceived, a lot of it is based off of media and how the media portrays us. It was almost a calling because I never really even thought about being in the entertainment business. When I was a teenager, I did have ideas of singing. I was in a little bit of a girl group, but I know, right? And I could sing. They used to tell me that I could sing, but I didn't want to be a superstar. I wanted to be a lawyer, and that's what I went into university to study.
Wow.
But somehow in the process of studying law and working, because I was working in South Africa at the time, my brother was working for Channel O. So being around him and in his world, mixing with artists and being in just the entertainment industry in general is how I ended up starting to realize, oh, wait, I'm actually very creative, because we would sit together with all these creatives and we would come up with all these ideas and would actually make them happen. You know, would come up with a TV show and then we would make the TV show happen. So just being able to think something in your mind
And
and
bring it to
then
life.
bring it to life, I got addicted and I was like, yes, this is where I want to be. And the rest is history, as they say. How did you guys get into the creative industry?
Okay. For me, I would say I'm in the industry. I'm still a newborn. I'm still like finding my way. But how I started creating, I have been since for as long as I can remember, I have been and I've been drawing like since I was very little. I remember how I started though. It was in nursery 3. They asked us to draw our parents. And that was the first time anyone had ever asked me to draw anything, and I had no idea what to do. And I was such a zealous student. I didn't want to, because it was a quiz. I didn't want to fail. So I copied someone else's drawing, like exactly how they did it. And when I got home, I was so ashamed. I asked my sister to teach me how to draw. And then she taught me how to draw in her own way. She was like, draw the eye, draw this, put the eye here, then put the other eye here, then do the nose, this one, that one. And then since that day, I just haven't stopped. I would sneak into my mom's office in the middle of the night and take her A4 papers, her crispy, fresh A4 papers, and I would divide it into 6. And I would tell this simple story of this girl getting ready for school, wake up, brush her teeth, bath, dress up, go.
Wow.
And it was always those 6 pages over and over and over again. And then the more I watched, because I was obsessed with cartoons, so the more I watched cartoons, the more I was like, oh, I like this story, but what if I did the story but in my own version, and I will change this and change that. Or I'll make this character have like dark hair or orange hair or something, and I'll make it so that this happened instead of this. And then that's how I started writing stories, and I would take them to school, and people would like gather around me and watch me draw, like when we're not having classes. And then later they would ask if they could read it, and they'll tell me, oh, your story is so interesting, your story is so interesting. And I'll just be taking all the compliments because they're not going to know that I copied it from somewhere. So I just kept going like that. And the more people I met, luckily for me, the more people I met, the more they encouraged me. And then one day, one of my friends was like, just please post on Instagram, please. I was in JS3. And she was like, when we get home, I'm going to make an Instagram account for you. And coincidentally, that was during 2020. So I had a lot of time at home, and I was like, let me even reach out to her about the Instagram account thing. And she created the Instagram account for me. And then I started posting, and then all of a sudden I don't know, the social media thing just kind of came to me too. Like I was just also somehow good at it, and I just started growing. And then I went back to school. Someone was like, okay, do TikTok. I came back home, I did TikTok, and then I went viral on TikTok. I now have like 47k followers. And then I decided to give Instagram another go to keep up with Instagram. And then I went viral again,
Wow.
got 13k followers, got commissions, do drawings for like people's web stories. My dream right now is to like do the cover for someone's novel, like a physical novel. Right now I'm doing web novels, but I really want to do one that would be like a hard copy, and I can like pose with it, like, hi, it's my art.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, so that's just my story, how I got started and everything.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you're definitely going to get there. This is why social media is really great for you guys. You just put yourself out there and you're suddenly going viral. What about you, Veronica? How did you get into the business?
Wow, mine is quite different. Like it's way different. So the first time I recorded music, I was clueless. And I can remember the first song I recorded at this shop. It was something like definitely, definitely, definitely I'll be repaid in 100 folds. And it was not that good at all. But
Yeah.
eventually, 2 days later, I don't know if you're familiar with Christ Embassy, the church. So they were doing outreaches. They still came to the same shop. I was like, oh, we support creatives. Oh, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm an artist. I just, like, this was just like yesterday that I just recorded this dumb song. And I'm like, I'm an artist. Woo, I took it up and they're like, you're going to perform today on Sunday. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I went to church. I performed. My legs were literally shaking. I had never been in front of a bunch
An
of people
audience, yeah.
singing, and I performed and I came down from stage and the congregation were like, wow, thank you so much. You really inspired me with your voice, with everything. I'm like, but I was literally shaking on stage. Did you guys see that? I was scared. But it didn't really change that. I think they saw that, I'm a star, basically. Like, that's not something I can hide. It's just who I am. And this was basically an outlet for me to express myself. I recently lost my dad around that time, and I needed a space to express my anger. Because before losing my dad, I just found out that my mom wasn't my real mom, and my real mom was dead since she gave birth to me. And it was a whole lot of emotions that I needed to process. And music was a way for me to actually process that. And since that statement, I just believe you can do music, I just ran with it. Like, I ran with it and I never looked back. And this is like 2014.
Wow.
2013.
Did
Yeah.
he hear you singing?
He didn't hear me singing anything. Like, he just said, I believe you can do music. Like, even me, I hadn't sung before.
What?
I was going to church, like we had this choir thing, and they always yabbed me at choir rehearsals that I never stayed on key, that I was a bad singer. Whenever they say do lead praise and worship, they always avoided me because like that girl doesn't need to stay on key. Don't even call her to even. I was like, but my family too said I can't sing. Why do you see this in me? And
Yeah.
he just said he was led. He was just led to say that. And honestly, like I took it and I ran with it. I didn't even
Yeah.
stop. I had to tell my family that this is what I want to do. It was really hard for me to convince them, but eventually I had to set off on my own. Yeah, because they didn't see the vision. And at 15 years, I packed up my bags and I left home.
Wow.
Yeah, I left home at 15.
That's how much you believed in
That's
this
how much I
dream.
believed. Like, I left home. I just ventured in and I was getting opportunities. Basically, I did street performances for some years. I was performing every day for 3 years. I didn't want to put out music because I wanted to develop myself, how I perform, my comforts, how I'm comfortable with the mic and on stage and all of that. Eventually, in 2020, I got in contact with my ex label and I just recorded because I started off rapping first because the whole thing of like you can't sing thing like kind of affected me for a while, and later on I just had this opportunity where a friend of mine who we went to university together was like, I want you to help me with this song, but I want you to sing. I'm like, I never sang before on record. And he was like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And I did this song, sent it to my godmother in the music industry. Her name is Squeeze. She used to make music too back in the days. And she was like, this is nice. And she called the person that was promoting her music when she was pushing and said, I know I didn't make it out, but whatever you want to do for me, let this person be an extension of me. Do it for this person. And that's how the label signed me. And I started recording, singing
And
songs.
here you
Yeah, I think I am right now.
Let's talk about this family supporting creative as a career. You know, you said you had to leave home at 15. That must have been very hard.
It was. It was really hard. Like I had to see a lot of things that I wasn't because I didn't come from a poor background. My family is well to do, very well respected in Nigeria. My uncle, my godfather, my uncle was once the commissioner of police of Lagos State. And he once headed AIG of Nigeria. Like it was, we actually had influence, and money and all of that.
Why didn't they support you?
My dad died before I figured that I wanted to do music. Yeah, if my dad was alive, he would have been my rock. He would have been my manager. He would have opened all this way because these people, sometimes I meet people and I like talk about my dad. I'm like, oh, that's your dad? I knew him back in the day, and stuff like that. I get it a lot. I really get it a lot. My dad would have actually supported my dreams, but my mom, that's the person that actually took care of me from day one, she's not really that exposed. Like when it comes to things like this, she's a pastor. So yeah, she's a pastor. So you get it. So a pastor and it's like, I want to do music. It's
entertainment
like
business
she wants
is
to be
evil.
wayward.
But as a woman, I think being in the entertainment business comes with a lot of challenges on its own. My experience, I think the reason I left the music business, for example, I've never shared this story. Should I share this story?
Yes, please do. We need to hear. You need to get a tea.
So, like I mentioned, I used to be on Pataranking's management team in the beginning, and one of the proudest moments of being in this career was us hosting his album release in Johannesburg. I don't think a Nigerian artist had ever done it before at the time. And we were the first to do it. We did a big show for him at a very popular cultural spot in Johannesburg called Baseline. And we sold out in like 3 days.
Wow.
So it was one of my proudest achievements because I don't think even up to this day anybody has been able to pull that off. But the reason I stopped working with him was because of two women. in the vicinity. That's why I'm a little bit uncomfortable telling this story.
Wow.
I've never told this story before, but because I had a very close relationship with him, I'm making assumptions because I didn't really understand why they felt the need to push me out. But long story short, it was two women that pushed me out because I guess they felt I had way too much influence on him um, at the time. And I was a threat to whatever it is they were trying to get from him. And so it was a very dramatic exit.
Wow.
You know, it was a very dramatic exit. But we're good now. Me and him squashed it a long time ago. And he was actually very supportive of me being on his team. He's a great talented artist. I'm always going to support him. But one of the things that I did notice is that women in the industry don't support each other. I think there's a lot of competitiveness even on the other side of the microphone. I think we have friendly competition on the microphone side of things. Artists will always compete to be number one. But even on the other side, I think this is just in general in the entertainment business in Africa, I think we all feel like the pie is so small, so we must all try and grab it from the other person before the other person gets it, instead of us actually realizing that this is a never-ending pot that we all must add to so that it continues to produce.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so that has been my experience in the business, and eventually when I came out, I wanted to be my own boss because I didn't want to ever be in a situation where I was no longer in control. And that's why I started my own business, and I started to be more at the front of all the projects that I worked on. You know, so that has been my experience, that women in the business don't necessarily work together and support each other.
It's not real. They conditioned us to think this way.
Exactly.
Because we can actually support each other without taking anything from each other. But then with men, whew, that was a lot.
Yeah, that sigh is very
That was
heavy.
so
Tell
much.
us, legit.
That was so much because, people trying to drug you, people trying to, these are my experiences. I don't know about people, but me, people try to drug me, people try to get me drunk, on so many other things. And I tried my possible best to create boundaries, but sometimes you would wait, like, okay, this opportunity and this thing that's gonna happen, like, how do you navigate this? Of course, I try to treat them like my guys, so they take off that sexual thoughts away from me. But sometimes you can't avoid it, and I just had to pray and ask God to bring the right people towards me, which
Yeah.
eventually started happening. I started meeting friends who are guys and who didn't want anything sexual with me, but also wanted to impact in my life. Luckily for me, not everybody has that experience. I'm super lucky because I've heard from other people who don't have that luxury. Maybe like they are very sexy, their bodies are, well developed. Mine, there's nothing. There's nothing to look at here.
And yet they still
Get
sexualize you.
sexualize me.
Exactly.
So I'm saying they are
Exactly.
looking so tiny,
Hell.
big guys, and small girls, that thing. And I'm like, that's very pedophilic,
Very
Like I get
suspicious.
irritated by comments like that, and I can't lie to you, I will run if I see where this person's head's at and it's not making sense. I walk away. Like for example, a guy I was supposed to work with recently, I reached out to him. I said, "Oh, bro, you've been doing well lately. Let's work because I'm producing now and this and that." He's like, "Yes, no problem. I would send you transport, logistic, pull up on my place." I said, "Yes, nice." Next thing, he's like, "I've been crushing on you from the first day we met." And I'm like, "Oh, no, not again." He was like, "Oh, finally, you're ready. Why don't you come and see me at my place and bring your videos?" This person used to work in Trace and MTV base. That's crazy. And I brought my video to this person and he went inside and came out naked. Butt naked. I was like, I go blow your nyash, oh. I go video your nyash now, eh? Insta blog will carry on tomorrow. You never, like,
They really had no fear.
legit. I was like,
the audacity.
what is this? He came out butt naked.
I almost want you to name him so that we can shame him. Because I'm like, what? Is this person still out there?
Yes, out there actively. And the funny thing, he used to brag to me how he has slept with other prominent artists. And I was like, my name will never be on that list. Like, when he called me, I was like, hi, something he said, something like, my ex babe was not like, me and you ex where? I don't know who you're talking about, please. I'm sorry, you got it wrong. And I kept on hammering on that. He cut the call and called back, and I was like, I embarrassed him in front of his friends. Oh, so you called me to tell your friends that we have some, like, you are insane, and don't ever in your life ever call me again. And that's how I ended that conversation. He knows who he is. I will just respect his privacy and not mention his name. But you know who you are.
You must tell us off camera so that at least we should know who that is.
We need to know.
We need to know
We
who
need
that
to know
is.
to stay away.
I'm just thinking about all the other young girls that he's probably
Done that
taking
to,
advantage
yes.
of.
He does that regularly. I realized that he's just a pedophile.
Oh my
You know,
God.
because I was basically very young, and he tried to take advantage of me.
I'm so sorry you've had to deal with that, but it just seems like it just comes with the territory.
It does.
When you are in the entertainment business, you are going to be sexualized.
I've been disrespected when people discover that I was a woman. Like recently, someone wanted me to illustrate their book for them, and they were starting off with this like really low price for like an entire children's book. The price was so useless. And I was really considering rejecting it just for the useless price. But then I was like, I don't really have anything else I'm doing right now. Let me just understand what their vision is. Maybe this would be easy for me to do, and that would not make it worth the price, right? So as I continued talking to the guy, I realized that this guy did not know that I am a woman, which is crazy because that also means that he didn't look at my Instagram page at all. Like he didn't look me up at all. He just saw art and ran with it. So he kept addressing me like sir or something, I don't know. And I just kept quiet because I don't have strength. I felt like something was going to change if I said, oh, I'm not sir. But I don't remember what made me. I just like, why self? Why even? What makes you think I'm a woman? And I just told him, I'm not sir, I'm ma. And he was like, oh, okay. And then from there, the conversation now shifted. Like, I remember telling him, because he made this very specific request for this complicated page. And I was like, the price that you're offering is not going to work for this page. And he was like, you, this girl, you don't need to listen. You, this girl, you're not respecting me. You are so stubborn. Your head is dry. I don't know. It was over text message. So I was just, the messages are just coming in and I was just reading. I was like, I don't understand. The tone of his message just changed to being very informal. He was now suddenly using stickers with me, stickers that would just be like someone pointing and reprimanding you and stuff.
disrespectful.
And then I just said, I don't want to do your thing again. And funny enough, he even had an artist that bailed on him. And so I just realized this is why this person left. There's no way, no one would agree to do this for this price. And then you're not talking to me like that on top of everything. And communication is poor. You're being so informal. You're being so rude. I said, no, I don't want to do it again. Thank you. Take your business elsewhere.
That's
crazy.
Insane. The
Exactly.
moment he realized that you're a woman, he suddenly changed his attitude and wanted to disrespect you. And this is the thing. It's in their mindset already as men that if it's a woman, sex. If it's a woman, beneath me. If it's a woman, I can take advantage of the situation.
I also wanted to add to something that you said about how there is a lack of women supporting women in the industry. And to add to that, I think there is this illusion of scarcity where they make you feel like there isn't enough space for everyone. Like the industry is already crowded, not to talk of bringing in a woman here, especially because they don't want women there. They don't think women should be there. So when you're trying to get your way into that opportunity, they make it seem like they're doing you a favor. You're the odd one out, and they now make you feel like you need to push yourself to get ahead. And of course, they'll make you feel like you can't get ahead of them. So if there's another woman in the room, you now feel like, okay, let me get ahead of her at least.
But I've been in situations like this. Like, for example, there was a time I did a rap battle where I think we were up to 50 guys. I was the only girl in the whole competition. And to be honest, I won. But they didn't give it to me.
Of course.
They came to meet me and they said, please understand, you are the only girl. We can't give it to you
Huh.
because people will feel like we have favoritism to you. And how can they be like 50 men and they're the only girl was the winner?
But
Although
you won fair and square.
I won
Like,
fair
you
and
won
square.
fair
Like
and
I
square.
won fair and square. But what they did was they paid me the same money they gave to the winner just to pacify me.
Wow.
And then called me back to do my own special segment. And just imagine walking into the building and they're like, oh, yeah, the guy that was supposed to win that didn't win. I'm like, the guy that was beside me was like, "Oh," the fire from his eye was booming. I was like, yeah, things like that happen. But I think for the women supporting women thing, my experience that I have to share on that is I was basically employed to help a girl write 50 songs by a label. And I was writing for this girl. I was writing, I was putting in my all, I was putting in everything for her to go ahead and say that I was jealous of her and that they should send me away. And I was like,
Jealous of her for what?
I asked her the same question. I said, how will I be jealous of you when they are paying me to sit here with you? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, I'm here to serve music, not to serve you or serve whoever employed me. I'm here for the music and I'm here to help you. If you can't see that, that is on you.
Insecurity.
Yeah, that's on you. And I think that is because she felt like there was no space for two of us to shine
Yes.
space. Because I also want to see my fellow girls winning. So we can be in the same space together. When I say, oh, I have cramps, people say, oh, I get you. But just imagine working with men and you
Hey,
have cramps.
They
I couldn't
think,
complain.
oh, here they come with their complaints
couldn't
about
complain.
cramps. This is why you can't lead, because you get cramps.
You know,
Really.
someone actually made that comment to me because I was in so much pain working on this particular project and I wasn't having anything. I just wanted to just go ahead, write my song and go away. But the person was like, are you okay? I couldn't even say I'm on my period. Like, that should actually change.
It has to change.
Yes.
That should
But
change.
it all boils down to conditioning, right? These
Yes.
perceptions that we have about each other as women, that we have to compete with each other, the perception that men have of us, where they have to sexualize us at every turn. It all goes down to conditioning. And the big thing that conditions our way of thought is the media. It's how women are portrayed in the media. I'm always fascinated by this conversation online about OnlyFans, right? How, for some reason, we are all judged like we are on OnlyFans. All of us women, we are judged like we're all on OnlyFans doing something nefarious for money. And yet there's literally a very small number of women. I forget the stats. I think it's like 2% of women, but there's 70%, 60% of men.
On OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do it.
It's
Both
them.
as creators and as subscribers. too.
Exactly.
Ha.
Exactly. Like 60% of Americans. It's a big number like that. Like it's 60% of American men who are making OnlyFans what it is. And women who are actually creating content is just like a very small percentage. But for whatever reason, all of us women are judged because of that. It's like slay queens. There's not that many of them. It's a very small percentage of women that are slay queens online, but all of us somehow are perceived the same way and judged against the same standards. So, what do you guys think about how specifically Nigerian women are portrayed in the media? I'll start by saying, for example, we all grew up watching Nollywood. I think Nollywood is our Hollywood in Africa, right? And so, growing up watching Nollywood, right, the way Nigerian women are perceived, I for one would even be like scared sometimes to engage with Nigerian women because I was like, if she gets upset with me about something, it could just turn into the war, you know?
Then she could go to Juju for you or something.
Do I want to date a Nigerian guy who God knows who maybe has a wife in Nigeria? She might not about me. Next thing I'm going to be turned into a chicken. I don't know.
Really, speaking on what you said about this Nollywood movie portraying women like this, honestly, I'm pained because I would say that contributed to the kind of life I experienced as a person. You know, watching movies where you have women fighting over a man.
Yeah.
I literally saw that happen in my life. Like, literally. It's like Nollywood literally played out in my life. And when you watch and you be like, oh, stepmothers where they don't accept other women's kids
Yeah.
and stuff like that. That literally happened to me. And honestly, if it was portrayed differently, maybe that would have come across these people's mind, you know? And honestly, that pitting us against each other is from there.
Too,
It's from there, honestly. Like, and as we're talking about
Rihanna
it,
versus
like it's
Beyonce.
Tyler
it's
versus
irritating,
Arya
you
Starr.
know? We shouldn't have to compete against each other. There's enough room for everyone to shine. You know, and being portrayed in a way where you have to be submissive, you have to, whatever your husband tells you to do, you have to do it, you know, how you have to dress. For example, like
Yeah.
me now, I used to be the label, and I am my label boss. We fought for years just because I didn't want to dress way too girly. And it's like, oh no, but that's how they like to see girls in the industry. Have you ever seen any female artist doing tomboy stuff and making it? Have you ever seen anyone? And I'm like, I'm not even a tomboy, but you're assuming I'm a
Yes.
tomboy.
Yeah.
I'm just a person that likes to dress how I feel. If I feel like I want to move, I want to exert myself, I wear trousers, I wear my tank top. If I feel like I want to be girly, want to be in the soft, I could even wear a gown, like others are boo-boo gowns. You know,
Yeah.
it just depends on my mood. But we literally fought over this for years. To the extent that when I was doing the music video, he went out and bought me 3-decker bra. You need to see this bra. You need to see this bra. This bra was like this. Like it was like 1 step, 2 steps. Only 1 step is even the size of my own boobs.
Wow.
And he gave it to me after asking me to shave my legs.
So were you supposed to wear that bra forever because your fans would
I
see you in
never
person?
even
and
wore
then
it for 1 day.
Of
I was like,
course.
take that thing away from me. I am not wearing that. Like I didn't even, it was in the pack till I threw it away. Like it was in the pack.
The
Till I
You never
audacity,
removed it.
though.
I never removed it. I was like, I would never wear this because it makes me feel like I don't love my body the way it is. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror, I remove all my clothes and I admire myself. I'm like, wow, your beautiful curves, your beautiful face, you know, your small boobs, perky, but they look beautiful. You know, it matches your body
Yeah.
size, you look proportional. You're a beautiful woman. So I just look at myself in the mirror and I encourage myself.
Shout
So
out to
nobody
you.
would tell me what I'm not. I already know who I am. If somebody
Period.
comes and says, you're too skinny, I'm like, I know.
Period.
Shout
Don't
out
need
to
to
you,
tell
man.
me.
Shout
I
out to
already
you.
know this fact. Like I am inside a kind person, a good person, someone that shows up for their friends. That's me. That's
Yeah.
Veronica.
Yeah.
You know, and we need to actually change those notions and learn to love ourselves, because even the Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you're quarreling or you're angry that this woman is trying to take your shine or take your space, mean that you don't love yourself.
Exactly. You don't see the value of yourself,
Yes.
and that's why you feel threatened by
You
somebody else.
understand me?
Yeah.
So just learn to love yourself. Think about it. You might have self-esteem issues, you know?
And maybe you just need
Check
therapy.
yourself.
But Jacinta, what about you from your experience? I
Yeah,
asked this question because of you being in uni. And I know that a lot of young girls, they see these portrayals of women in the media, the soft life, finding a rich guy to take care of you. Do you think that has an impact on how young women move in the world?
Yes, of course. I think it's very damaging, and it's very crazy to see the damage in real life with like people in front of you, with the way that everyone just thinks that they want a soft life. All they need is a rich man. Once they have a rich man, they can do this, they can do that. People will be like in school with me, and they feel like that the degree that they are working for is going to be useless eventually, because all they need is a rich man, and they even can't wait until they have, in fact, if they could leave school now to find the rich man, they would. There's no encouragement to like have ambitions of their own. There is nothing like, I remember seeing a TikTok video of, it wasn't my school, but it was law students graduating from another university. And everyone's like, okay, so what's next for you? What's next for you after law school? It was like someone interviewing each person one by one. So you go to one person and then she'd be like, next up, I'll be an Odogu's wife.
No way.
The next person, Odogu's wife.
No way.
The next person, Odogu's wife. Someone will be like, law school, and of course, Odogu's wife.
Oh my
I was like, maybe I'll start my own firm, but most likely Odogu's wife. Plan A, Odogu's wife. Plan B is now law firm. It's not even the other way around again. Odogu's wife is now plan A.
Like, so many, all of us are going to have one.
I know that women are more than men. Like,
That's why I really laughed when I saw someone like post this thing of like, please work hard and get a job. There are not enough billionaires to go around. Like all of us cannot get billionaire husband. What are you
And
thinking?
you have better chances of meeting a billionaire when you're a billionaire.
Yes.
no, but
Because rich people move in the same
Exactly.
circles.
But there's this notion, yeah, where they're like, men really don't want career women or successful women. Sometimes, honestly, this might be their notion. Of course, rich people want to hang out with rich people, but it could still be like, I'm richer than you because I'm a man, so you are here. I don't know if you get what I mean.
I know.
I get what you
Yeah,
mean.
like they're kind of scared of women that have careers and dreams. They
Yes.
feel like a woman that has a career and a dream would trample upon them because she feels she has her own thing going on, so she doesn't really need them for anything.
But the
is
thing
that
is,
still true?
the thing is,
I've met a few people like that. This is just my experience. I don't know about everybody, but this is my own experience. You know, I used to date someone who realized that I had more money than him at that time. And it was really a big deal for us because he felt emasculated. He felt very emasculated. You know, there was a day that I wanted to give the gate man my ATM to buy fuel. And I was like, oh, take my ATM. Please give it to the gate man. I was like, came back, I was like, why would I do that in front of his friend? That they're feeling like I'm the one that's taking care of them. I'm like, I didn't see anything wrong. Because the reason why I didn't see anything wrong is, yeah, I know people have this notion of always wanting Odogu's wife, but in my own family, the women made the moves. Like
Yeah.
every woman in my house, they even have more. They have more, like their life is
more
like,
going on.
yeah, more going on than the guys. The guys are more like, yeah, we're gonna eat our father's money that he has worked for. But the girls are like, what can I do next? How do I do this? How do I do it? Nobody in my family is waiting for any Odogu.
Yeah.
Odogu who? I'm the Odogu,
Exactly.
please.
Exactly. And the thing about what she said, right, about how there are men that like are emasculated by the idea of a woman that is successful, a woman that is like more ambitious. The thing is that as a woman, it's not even your business. It doesn't even concern you. As a student, that's not your business. You shouldn't be in the process of building your life and you're like, oh, I'm not going to build myself to my full potential, because if I'm at my full potential, then people that will be below me will not want to marry me. What kind of, like, if you break down the reasoning, it's just so stupid that you don't want to be ambitious because then less ambitious people won't want to be with you. Is that the reasoning that we're all
Honestly,
going
some
with?
people have that mindset. And to
It's
add to that,
crazy.
some people some ladies go to school, they get all these degrees to marry a man.
Yes.
They're like,
There's this thing I saw in a show where it was a father telling his daughter that he sent her to school to get an MRS. And I thought that was a degree, but I looked it up, and that's what they say when they send you to school so that you find an eligible bachelor to marry. The MRS is Mrs. I sent you to school to become a Mrs. And you came back with a
Seriously?
degree. That's what the guy was complaining about. I sent you there to get an MRS and you came back with a BSc.
honestly, like,
Wow.
seriously,
You spent that money to send somebody to your university
to get like.
just to go and get married.
So when they're pitching the lady to the man, it's like, oh, she's a
got a
lawyer.
degree.
She's got a degree. She
the
she
lola
even,
will be higher.
you know, and the bride price would be higher. That's so dumb. Honestly, that's so dumb. But people actually do these things.
I don't understand, especially when I look at Nigeria. Yes, in the films, the portrayal can somewhat be negative, but I feel like in real life, Nigerian women lead in lots of different ways.
They do.
Why are those not the role models for young girls?
This is another thing. This is the thing I wanted to talk about in terms of people confirming their own biases, because the young girls will see them and just assume that they are not happy. Assume that, oh, if they're making money for themselves, it's not as soft as the soft life girl is like, it's not the same thing. It's not as fun as when it's someone that is sponsoring your own lifestyle or something.
to them.
Because a lot of people, like, in their heads, they have this image of how things should be. Married with kids is happy. Single without kids is
Unhappy.
sad. So if you see somebody that is single without kids, that is living their best life, you just refuse to believe. Like, I was talking to somebody, like, in real life, and it was a guy, and I was just gisting with them casually, and he was just like, I don't know where this thing came from, but all of a sudden he was just like that. Just know that a woman can never be fulfilled without a husband and children.
You say what?
All of a sudden. And then I was like, I know a lot of people that, like, are not married, they don't have kids, and they're like living their best life. And it's like, trust me, they're secretly miserable. And I'm like, where did you get that notion from? The obvious happiness that they have, you refuse to believe it. You're looking for the secret misery. And then the obvious misery that you see in mothers, where you yourself, you're complaining that your mother always comes back home exhausted, and she's always angry, and she's always shouting. You don't think that maybe she didn't get a chance to fulfill herself.
You're right.
You just assume that, she's fulfilled. She is, even though she's not showing it. And then this one that is showing it, no, she's sad. There's no way that she could possibly be happy. And that's probably why younger girls, they find it difficult to look up to women that, like, are in leadership positions, because they just think, oh, this must be so stressful on her. This isn't where a woman should be. This isn't the soft life that has been advertised to me. Which, do you know something about young girls, is that they refuse to realize that the people that are advertising soft life to them, advertising that soft life is their job. That is work that they are doing. When they
Literally.
go on vacation to Barbados, and they're setting up tripod, and they're setting up light every 2 seconds to make sure they capture all the scenes of them in the swimming pool, so that they can come and tell you that life is soft, and so that their sponsor can pay for the trip. You think that you just see the clips, you don't see the setup, and then you just think, oh, soft life without any work behind it. But she was grinding. She was probably up at, like, early hours of the day, probably trying to, like, book places so that no one is in the background of her videos. All the hard work, and you don't see it. You just think soft life, and then you just think that she didn't have to work for it, and so you shouldn't have to work for it, and it doesn't make any sense.
To be honest, to add to that, there was this my auntie she's very successful, very rich, beautiful lady. We went to church together, and the pastor asked, write that one thing you need. And I swear to God, she wrote down man. Oh my God. Hey, as I saw the man, my prayer was, God, please let me not be this person. Like, let me not be this
There's
person.
nothing wrong with wanting a man, especially if you're saying
She was
already.
crying and praying for a man. Hello, please. I pray to God that day that I don't want to be this person. You know, my career is my first love, but I also want to have a traditional home, be a mom, have kids, and all of that. But I still want to be fulfilled and have a career. So I know that I'm fulfilled in both aspects, not just one side. I don't want to just sit at home not doing anything. I'll get bored out of my mind. I'll probably kill myself. You know, yeah, I'll probably commit suicide if I do the same thing over and over again for years.
Yeah. And you know, this is the best part about social media. We are getting to see women sharing stories of what marriage is really like. Just yesterday, there was a woman crying on TikTok about how she can't believe that she has to do this for the rest of her life, have to deal with another human being
Honestly.
for the rest of her life. She's like, there's nothing wrong with him, but I'm just tired of always having to think about
Cater.
somebody else all
Oh
the time.
my God.
Like, it's too much work. And they say we can't lead, but look at us leading the homes. Isn't that
Exactly.
a whole, like, dealing with a home, dealing with another matured man, dealing with kids, making sure that the home is running, food, everything. That's already leading. Your mother led you from childhood to you're an adult, and you still come out and say women aren't leaders. My brother, look at your house.
It's conditioning again,
Yes.
because even reality doesn't pierce through the conditioning. We see our mothers leading all the time, but still we won't
Don't
vote for a
acknowledge
woman
it. Yes.
as women, right? We see women leading in so many aspects of life. We've seen our mothers unhappy in situations that they didn't have a choice but to stay in. But for whatever reason, the conditioning is still that I must find a man to take care of me.
And women should know that they have choices.
Exactly.
Because they say you have to marry or you need to do this doesn't mean you check yourself. What do you want for yourself?
Yeah.
You know, when they are grooming men, they let them be themselves, and they tell them you have to hustle, you have to work, you have to take care of your family, you have to do this. And women, you just have to become this, and you have to find a man. They don't really teach women how to dream. You get me? There's
That's
no
what she-
Oh my
dream.
god.
There's no dream. A woman doesn't really have dreams. Their dreams, I want to have kids. Yes, that is part of it.
And
But
what
what
else?
makes you a
Exactly.
person? What did you do to fulfill your own life? You know, you having
And
kids
there's
is like
nothing
living
wrong
for them.
with-
Yeah,
and
there's nothing wrong with having
having the
kids.
dream of having kids and being a mom. There's nothing wrong with that.
But what do you want for
but
yourself?
Are you sure that is really your dream, or is it the
a dream
dream that
someone
was
put in?
conditioned into you?
Yeah.
You know, I'm focusing on my music career, but I also know deep down that I have a dream of being a mother and having kids. Now that is what I want. Now how I want to execute that is up to me, because I already have an unconventional life being an artist. You know, of course I would need a man that would understand the kind of life I live, and which has also been difficult for me. You know, dating, and then you hear there was someone that told me that his friend, someone I was dating, said his friend said that artists are for the people. Like, I do not understand what they mean by artists are for
the
the
people.
people. Like, I think he was trying to imply that because I'm a woman in music, meaning that I'm open to anybody, or I didn't even understand the concept, you know. And then
Because it doesn't make sense.
it doesn't make sense. And then I keep getting talks like, okay, if you were to have kids, how are you going to manage being an artist? And Beyonce has kids now.
Please.
Abby, Rihanna has kids now. Like,
Tiwa Savage has
Savage
kids.
has kids. And
not
in
a
fact, she had a kid
disability.
before she became. Tiwa Savage had a kid before she became popular. And she's still able to be a mother and still pursue her dreams. It doesn't take away from anything. Women can dream. We can have it all. Honestly, and we are the ones that actually have the skills to have it all, because
the only
we are
ones who can do it.
multitasking, you know.
Yes.
We can do multiple things.
To speak on that multitasking thing, right? And also to speak on, like, people think that mother and wife and husband and kids, and they say it like it's just two things and you just have them and the rest of your life is all rainbows and sunshine. But the truth is that men get so much help behind the scenes, and the behind the scenes is usually the wife that takes care of everything. I saw this Instagram post of this lady saying that she's an author, right? And she has been having a serious battle with writer's block, and she was starting to get depressed. So she called her mom. She's like, "Mommy, please come and stay with me." So her mom came to stay with her, and while her mom was with her, she took care of the cooking. Her mom took care of the cooking, the laundry, the everything else, the house upkeep. And the girl was like, that was the most productive week of her life.
Wow.
That she didn't have to worry about anything. There was no mental load. There was no physical load. There was nothing in the background. There was no background noise stifling her creativity. And then she was like, this is the life that a lot of people that are married, a lot of men that are married live. Because then the woman does everything behind the scenes, and you just get to focus on your career. And then later you can write a self-help book about how
you were successful,
did everything
man.
yourself.
Exactly.
But you forgot that you didn't have to worry about day-to-day runnings of your life, because
Exactly.
you know the Bible has this statement where they're like, I don't think it's the Bible. There's this saying that behind a successful man there's a woman, right?
It's
They
a
have
strong
working
woman.
There's a
women.
strong
Very-
woman, you
yeah.
know, behind doing what exactly? Leading. Let's not even
Exactly.
take out of that, because when he needs advice and he's blocked, he will talk to his woman like,
When he needs
"Babe,
encouragement.
you know, when
when
he's
feeling
encouragement,
down.
baby, you are doing well, you are doing right." You know, those things sound so small, but even we as women, we need that, and we don't really get that from our own men. You know,
Yes.
I heard a lady saying she built her IG account to about 100K or thereabout, and then she lost it. And she was complaining to her husband that, oh my God, she lost her IG. How will she start? And I was like, it's not IG. You can start again. Like, he didn't actually see
Wow.
how
Like,
much
it's that-
work.
That's easy.
Yeah, she put into getting that IG account to that point. All she just needed was encouragement.
Yeah.
Babe, you can do this again. Okay, what do
Yeah.
you need? How do you get about it? Okay, tell me your plans. How can I come in and advise you and give you that same support you give to me to be the man I am? You know, women need support too.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not just only about supporting men. We also need this
We
support
do.
as well.
We do. And I guess it all boils down to culture, right? I'll give an example of like Toke Makinwa. She's been in the news a lot lately. She's just decided to be a single mom.
Yeah.
And the backlash that she got for that, I was so shocked. I was like, what? Am I still in 2025?
Like, oh, am I in 1882? Like, you don't get it.
So clearly culture plays a big role in how women have to show up, even in creative spaces where we're allowed to be unconventional. It's literally the one place where you can be
You know?
Yeah.
unconventional, but then culture comes and says, wait, 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 you're a woman, remember your place.
Yeah. I think because culture socializes us to prioritize husband and kids, husband and kids, husband and kids. Even as you're growing up, you're already hearing things like, oh, you don't like beans. What if your husband likes beans? What will you now be? You have to cook beans for your husband. Something
like
stupid
beans.
like that. So
I like cook what I don't like for you.
think about someone who doesn't even exist yet.
exactly. And because you're always taught to be carrying that on your head, as you're growing up, as you realize like creative ambitions and stuff, you tend to not pursue them. You tend to just push them to the side because in your head you're like, this, I would like to do this, but if I do this now, in the future it will be difficult to raise children, it will be difficult to find a husband or something. Like with music now, if someone was like younger with everything that's going on social media and everything, and they were like, oh, I want to pursue music, probably even if it's just at the back of their mind, they'll be like, okay, but what if the person I want to marry doesn't want to marry me because of music? Or what if I want to have kids and I'm always running around because I'm always. And the thing about that too is that even though we are now like giving more leeway and be like, and people are now creating spaces for us to be in those creative spaces, right? There's also this expectation of perfection where you cannot leave any place lacking. Like a lot of male musicians, their whole thing is just, okay, I'm going to snap picture with my baby and that's it. They don't even bother keeping the homes together. They don't bother about anything. They only just, when it's time for them to look like a good father, all they have to do is pose with their baby and smile. That's it. But with female musicians, if your child is out and they are dressed somehow, it will be, you mother, what's going on? Why is your child dressed like that? Like, why are you not paying attention this one, that one? And then if your music starts lacking, they'll be like, well, this is why, or maybe not music, but whatever creative thing you're doing, they'll be like, this is why you shouldn't even be in that space because see, you're not even giving it your 100%. But if you now, do you understand? Like, there's just this expectation that everything you have to give 100 to everything, and you cannot be mediocre at all. And so you have to be the top. You even have to be better than, and you're not even going to get that recognition that you're better than the men around you. No one is going to acknowledge that you're doing a lot more than they are
Yeah.
doing. They're just going to see you as a woman in your, the place in your own category, so that you don't even have to compete with the men at all. And I think that that would just discourage a lot of girls from even thinking about themselves creatively or thinking about pursuing any of their talents creatively. If they are going to think of anything, they'll just think of something that they can do that is stable. Oh, let me just get a 9 to 5 so that I'll know that I'm going to just go home and come back and I don't have to reason anything or plan anything like that.
To add to that, I would say this culture thing, I think specifically in Nigeria, we've forgotten our history. We don't know our history anymore. You know, because if we truly know our history, we will know the importance of women. Speaking of my culture, I'm an Igbo woman. In Igbo land, the men stay at home and they attend meetings and all those things. People who farm, who provide the food is the women. They go to farm with the kids, they provide, they come back. The men talk about how to run the community and stuff like that, which even after talking about how to run the community, there's still a women's group who they have to consult before making final decisions in the community. That's that. Other cultural thing that we've actually forgotten is when women in the older days in Igbo land, I think they still do it in some places, when their husbands die and there's this notion where you have to remarry or maybe marry your husband's brother or something like that, or just stay in the family or something like that. But women also had choice in the Igbo land where if you decide not to marry your any man again, you can marry a woman.
Yes.
Oh.
They
Yes.
taught me that in Igbo
You can
class.
marry a woman
Okay.
and she would have kids for you.
Yes. And yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
This is actually a thing. This is actually a thing.
So why is it not practiced?
I don't know.
When
Colonization.
colonization came in,
Yeah.
We adopted other people's cultures.
You
and
get
now we are
it.
calling that our
as
culture.
our culture, we need to go back to base and really get the information right. Yes. These are
want
things
to
we don't
see-
know
I want to see a song from you
about this.
telling that
I am
story.
definitely going to do that.
Yeah, because that's where media
going to
plays
do
a
that.
role, right?
Because we need to
We need to
reshape.
remind ourselves what our culture really is about.
Yes.
And film, music, television is what can bring that back.
And I would definitely use my platform to really shine light on this. We need to remember who we actually are.
Yeah.
All these notions of how we should be and how we shouldn't be. Have we forgotten that Queen Amina basically led wars?
Right.
When men were ruling, she ruled too. Not only her, other female rulers have existed
Yep.
in our space. Now,
In
this
Africa.
culture of bringing down women is not our culture. Because we also believe that the beginning of life comes from a woman.
Yep.
That's Africa's culture. Because when we even address, like, for example, in my village, if you want to marry your father's siblings' children, you can. But you can't marry your mom's siblings' children because we believe that the lineage is from,
It's from the
woman.
mother. Yeah.
That's from my village.
Wow.
Yes, that's my village. That's how we see things. You can't marry from your mother's lineage because that's where birth comes from and that's where life
Yeah.
comes from. You know, I believe life starts from
The
a woman. No matter what the Bible says, I'm sorry. I'm just going to use logic to think about this.
Yeah. It
You know-
is what it is.
You know, men came first in the Bible, but women produce men. Like, huh? The math is not matching.
I was actually reading something the other day about how even the way we are formed in the womb.
We become women first.
Yeah,
Yes,
we're women
everyone is a
first.
woman
Yes,
first.
first.
In
A man
the
is a
first
woman
3 months
first.
of life, we are all women in the womb.
You know,
and then
You cannot have the Y
mutate.
chromosome.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then you mutate into a man.
Then
So
how-
there is nowhere where a woman came from a man. It's a lie. It's just okay. I'm sorry, guys. but
I'm
it's a
sorry,
lie.
guys. Let's just be logical. There are even other species, like reptile species. You understand? They are mostly XX chromosomes. Yeah, they need the XY chromosome to mate, but the XX chromosome, the leader, transforms into that and then builds the new generation of just women and they clone themselves. So
Exactly.
the idea doesn't make sense to me because this is biology and we're seeing it in other animals. So how come
It's a
it's
man
us
who made it
that
up
made-
because they wanted to create male superiority. That's the only logical explanation because there's literally no scientific explanation for this idea that a rib was broken.
Like,
and then a
what
woman was made.
rib?
Like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any
God.
sense. Every human being that walks this planet
Came from a woman. I think it still goes back into how we are represented in Nollywood. Because whenever they want to make like a Nollywood drama about evil people, the women are just props. There's so many women that are just props in the movie. They just stand there and they fan, or they just stand there and they look.
Or they
just-
bring food for
Yeah,
the man
I
or
don't
something
think-
like that.
Like, exactly.
My husband, they will not kneel down.
My husband.
Exactly.
Everything, my husband.
No one tells the stories about the things that you mentioned, about the women leaders, about the women marrying women, about like actual things that happen in our culture. They tell the story of the revised version.
And the
that's
white
sort of-
men, that the white men revised though, because it's not us that revised that. They deleted our history for a reason.
Yep.
I think that there needs to be more stories about women. Like just about women, not about a story about a girl that grew up in the village and then she met a rich man and then she went to the city.
You're tired.
Oh, I'm tired of it. Nollywood, please.
Or not a movie about university girls that are always running around and sleeping with married men.
You
like
know-
a story about a woman, your average Nigerian woman that doesn't revolve around the men that she meets, stuff like that. And we need to represent ourselves better. For example, like how there's still so much stigma around our natural hair.
Yeah.
Like we need to show ourselves like with our hair, exactly the way we are. No bleaching, no relaxing, or even if you're relaxing, at least be able to wear it that way. Don't now say, oh, don't wear your natural hair to my wedding, or blah blah blah. So many, like there's so many situations where we don't represent ourselves properly.
Yeah.
Most likely because it's not even women that are representing us, right?
That's
It's
the issue.
men telling the stories that they think that they know how things happen, so they just tell it that way, right? We need more women in the spaces telling stories for women at the same time, telling stories that include people, that kind of thing.
speaking on your hair topic, I literally fought with my label for years because they wanted me to cut my dreads. They were short. They were like, "Hey, woman, you look rough. You look this. You look that." But they didn't actually find, okay, how can you look better with this thing you already like? And all I just needed was just to brush my hair, you know, make sure that my skin is glowing and I will look beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to fit, I don't have to wear a wig to be a baby girl. Because, like, look at me now. Hello. Am I not hot?
You are.
Yes,
girl.
but in my own way, you know, in my own way. We need to be allowed to express who we are in the way we see ourselves. And using music, I want to continue to use my voice to empower people and help them see, you know, the best in themselves. I'm gonna reference one of my song, Pressure. That song, it was more about really letting people understand that yes, I'm a woman, but I have struggles. Everything's not just,
Rainbows and sunshine.
you know, they make it look like women's life had to be rainbows and sunshine, but it doesn't have to be. You know, I wanted people to see that I'm a woman, but I still have my struggles. I still have my wins. I still have my down times. I still have my high times. And all this is a part of being human. So we need to humanize women,
Yes.
you know, and we don't need to be dolls. We need to be humans with feelings, you know, with
That's what she
dislikes.
said.
And, you know, that's what she said. With dislikes and
said.
likes. You know, we need to just humanize women. And I'm hoping with this platform I have, with my voice, I would be able to encourage young girls growing up and as well encourage older women, because even the older women, I must say, because of the way they've experienced life, they're also adding to the problem. You know, they need to step back and reevaluate how life was for them and really give advice that matters. Imagine I'm walking into my estate and a woman is telling me, why don't I have bra on? That if it's her kids, she chased them in for that. I'm not her kid. I'm almost 30 years old. I'm not even a child just because I look small. And why do you feel like it's your place to say that? Now, according to her, is how women are supposed to be. There's no suppose. There's no manual for life.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, we all go through life. Nobody has the book and say, okay, oh, this is what life is about. Oh, here is the book. Boom. You know, we have to figure this thing
Yeah.
out. And as we're figuring it out, it has to be based off our experiences and what we like for ourselves and what we don't want for ourselves. So I think that's what needs to be changed.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you. And it's funny that one of my favorite Nigerian TV shows was called The Governor. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. It was an Ebony Life production, and it was about a female governor who won. And of course, she had problems. It was such a great show, but
I
it
want
was,
to see
it only had one season. I think it didn't get renewed for whatever reason, but it was
We
good.
know the reason.
Of course.
We know the reason.
We
know
know the reason. I know the reason. But it was such a great TV show. And I saw in the group you guys as well were talking about
We're talking about
Doing
doing
that,
something like
need
that.
a film about a Nigerian
president.
president. You know?
Yes.
And I think I always say the reason I love film is because we went to the moon in films before we went to the moon in
In
real life.
real life.
We flew cars before we flew cars in real life. You know, film is imagination and it opens up the possibility of what could be. That's how powerful film is. The reason we all believe America is a good guy and Russia is a bad guy is because of film. Even though that's really not reality, you know? So that's how powerful storytelling is. And I think if African creatives, especially women, step into these positions and start to tell the stories. Thank God for people like Kemi Adetiba, who is out here championing, telling King of Boys, you know. It was great to see a powerful woman writing things, you know. And we just need more stories like that that show that women can be multifaceted, can be all the things that, well, we don't necessarily want to be men, but we can be all these things in our own way.
We don't want to be men.
We don't want to be men.
Sometimes I feel like when you dress masculine, you want to be a man, but we don't want to be men.
And that's a misconception.
It's a misconception that needs to end.
Yeah, there's this misconception that when we talk about these issues, we want to be like men. No, we don't. I
You
want
want
to be
our own
president, but I don't
space.
want to do it the way you do
Men-
it. I
Yes,
want to
yes.
do it
See, my
the
own
way
way.
I want to do it. And there's just a unique quality that we bring into everything that we do as women. There's a unique way that we tell stories. And I think even in our culture, that's why women were the custodians of storytelling, raising children, passing on wisdom and knowledge, because our innate natural ability to create and nurture what we create and grow it and put it out into the world.
My most viral art was actually like a drawing of a plus sized girl. And 90% of the comments were, oh my god, she looks like me. She looks like me. Oh my god, she looks like me. She looks like my friend. This just makes me feel so seen. I love this. Can you do more of this? And I just realized that that's also something that people don't do in the creative spaces, that they don't like to deviate from what people are used to seeing.
Exactly.
And so when you create something that represents a very niche population, you don't realize how many of them really needed to see that and needed to feel that way. And I think that's something else that we also need to change and need to do, is to celebrate more differences and show like a more diverse group of people in our media, so that everyone can see themselves and no one feels like they need to hide or that this thing isn't for them or anything like that.
I think what I can add to that is, don't be afraid to become something new.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to unlearn and learn something different. All of us are a product of conditioning. And all that means is that we can change our conditioning. We can dump all the programming that we've been fed and give ourselves new upgraded software. I hate that we've been so stuck in these traditions that, like you guys rightfully pointed out, are not even ours. A lot of what we are now enforcing on each other is not even who we are. It's not even part of our real culture. A lot of it is actually imposed on us, and it was imposed on us to keep us where we are.
Yes.
You know? So I think it's very important that young people understand that you can unlearn everything you've been taught and learn something new. And then on top of that, let's create, guys. Africans, naturally, we are storytellers. Storytelling is literally in our DNA. That is the only reason why we still exist today, because our story is still being told. So let's not shy away from telling our stories, even if they're things that haven't happened, even if they're things that are out of this world, even if you're trying to create an Africa on a different planet. Create. Don't be afraid to create, especially women. Let's enter the creative spaces and lead. That was such a fascinating conversation. I hope you guys have been inspired. And we're going to end this on a round of
That's what she said. That's what she said.